machi omuti omusi yentu omuso aba na omuntu franka edema osono amayuku na ne emu baako ne campaign spokesperson ewo ahaseya ye babidi enkomo Kwesi Kwarteng Esquire ono ene ye spokesperson ema campaign spokesperson ema Honorable Ken Ohene Japan wasan so eye emrenim churchfo law lecturer ewo hase lawyer memo wache mo akoba
sabla me do so pese pa me
the one was some of us say okay sister baka say ne bra lawyer
me binja atiefo ni afefo nyina say na TV hwekura so adwuma o nti nipa wonmo de apebre so hwe no so no
true
also ya da mase so mo so timi hwe chia obi a ba mo fili ekwachi nti aha de oba no hu se oba mo ayi dupa mo pejame
jamu na mo assess you nti de mo beka ne wo
oh Ghana fo nyina na assess de se e wumbi
eni e da Ghana fo asepa so maji atuma ma ya yekese yesa na bibia boko de
already ne medini no manyina ya boko
no be baka se na law lecturer de depa na wetimi etu sese de wakwakoye kasamafo Emma Honorable Kennedy Ohene Japan se ne campaign na woye bibie ni a obeka ho asem
oh se me akra na even say ban etwa mu na me adwuma wom as a spokesperson to the Ministry of Education and emuana fofi anto atakoto abanye yi na ade ba kono say if you have a either is say ya manyo sem no krom ha na say kind of cry che ho pa there is no recovery plan for you may term as politically exposed persons. Politically exposed person won't even be and hold even bank accounts for certain countries. Citizenship for certain countries won't mean. So far as a Okoiji appointment and also yeah Jumama will be a not politically no but more categorized as politically exposed person. The recovery plan very anyhow. And you one just be a nipa you bro more lawyers in the as a fallback plan and yeah. Ede me yonko ba go so ukojina masama nko try ede within the week kubinya bill me no ede aye so you treat and go 6000 what be to petrol ede aka ede atodwane so ede edi right from there na me go take up the role as a lecturer so Gempa
okay
but with Ken there no na etie de do na ede eka
okay
utie Ghana for utie party for utatro trum ukwa sorry them we rescue them ejum forma onum se na no aba mokoto ende se mo de Ken ne ba ya ke be de ye beto so nya sie wi mo se koto foforo mo de Ken ba ye be de ye beto mo amfa na ma ye nto anu bi ni bam business na edi enti kura ne ma ne basa otimi se nipa bebre wo gidi o Canada Japan mo ade ba ko a ontimi nyin fi no embe for so to kodo kura no ye de no in America abo kodo ebi abeta no but in America de ye de efe pa yase Ken wa kokodro na de bia meka se 2024 abai ko 2028 2028 ordinarily NMPP elections because from the history no abribia no party bia nya 8 years meboa since 92 now you know try say be break 8 unfortunately the result was that very never what I was so worse the 2028 no within 2024 to 2028 just 4-year period you expect to say can this for na be there ebe to aso the back boy and said they are not going to with the same candidate. It's only the new candidate ever. It's when you'll be a month for anybody deal with him. Now when you'll be a month for who say or can or there or you could do for the near them pass or bet magic to me. Was a donor are likely to go for
that.
The bad party for the Ghana for no more some of the can buy the ebeto, more they can buy ebeto. Now donor fra now also quite you could hear. They say also no your role that you have to play for the campaign to succeed, you know. Because party ni wo abaima ana wo no unya baby ahye na won saso aye akwa no. Say they said to be bidi.
Nti said there obi show obeka say ah na na tsa manyo sem no e ho ye juicy pa wo no mo ya adwen. You
see, I mean me din come out based on objective nkomo. Say wo ye adwuma. E ho ne ye de etwa oka. Me 4 years I'm a customer by me. Yeah, be fear. Senye lawyer na me ya. U take 90% of our mom would dear money so much in the next 4 years. Senya going to no be their lives are going to get worse. adwuma bia ni ho tworo katako so mo kopa adwuma be de yebemo. So when you talk about say na ban ba no bedidia, the context is say because of a politically exposed person, na ban ba no wonya adwuma ye de ayo. Ama na nsa ye de akona no. Okay. Somebody like Sami Jemfi, senya na ban na ba ya ka position okura no ko nya de ko nkura. Sa na tie. Minwere kaje nya na ban na ba ya ka position okura no nya de onkura. Nti it is not the context uko wiesika, no. Any ukofokro ma by my still they are civil servants so mu wiesika.
And account committee
and it doesn't matter. Yes, and it doesn't matter the na by part of that by any power.
And wo kasa na so no wo boss so say ade e beboa mo so ne say this nyame adoma 2028 elections na e be kono e ba no the other side am opponent no omo repeat omo candidate meaning say omo repeat omo candidate eno no bibi e wo ho no man kede nsesan ye bi be ba na
say un say GM body kan ko ba ko say wasa ko fufuro bi wa ka say asad na no constitutional lawyer bad to contest again.
Oh sure.
Say nya sa na ko no na say kwa kaya they are or an added advantage.
Okay.
But one more new candidate or as had an ebano, any added advantage or any platform. No. So, and always the new face bar. At the end of the day, no, two new faces now or cotton, which makes it now on the personality, not even on the party. Okay. And the personality you are looking at will be our track record. Say, are they all can wear they or your? Yeah. What they obi a fancy be a ken yes we ken so ba e dey obeye pa enwuma ebie e dey na e chese am pass all can obetima dey ayo in his private capacity and his private life will be enwuma about our create about 7,000 jobs the coastal businesses ne steel factory ne the back orange juice here what asin the media groupings any other holdings real estate businesses in under you know. In that space, you know, we started we recruit to 7,000 workers. Okay. Nti o catch us obeti my or ABA dey epen. Okay. Or that track record no. O catch us obe ensure there is discipline in the country. Ono any party for kind of party for dey asem. So far on mobukro no nya sofo. But we dey nyamedin ana akata nanim na obu nkrofo dey efa so. Say nipa kro no can say we ti mahwe nanim akata say dey awo ye no me no nya dey enya dwen. That is even at his personal capacity. Nti ede na sai nipa kro enya kwanya ebedi mampani a saa no ma echia ana entene na nipa no bi di nyame fi adane apobo ene asese no untimi nya dai enka ho asem obi so baka say na wo man ye betimi I entrust no with yen ensembia ensese ye de to abonten for instance bano yen bambo ho nsema security ni adea nsem bebre ho no wontumi mfa meto abonten se ehu se den kwabo na wo opinion nti se wutimi swallow na bibini a we say jaso no aba obese obe blast eye binom so wo ya de we enye se do be say ye betimi a trust no with yen nsem sa o mine on nsem sa oh say why ye member of parliament da and what's different committees to be brave. Some of them defense committee, some of them interior committee, other committees for security who be brave. Many sure say you attribute any leak of any document be out to him. And in any event, na said you can know who say boxer. Okay. Boxer or ring ma, the opponent no or bonnet pa or bonnet de ba. As when you pay free ring in ma, no share bonten so far. They are the very nicest person you could ever see. We desire Zuma Nelson. Ushiana, workers, hey, papa hina, ujina ring ma, na nidi obobo ni power of you. Ushia Mike Tyson, a very one said Mike Tyson cry, said you are Colacquad and Sakana, undiminia shade. So, as ujina ring ma, na near them pa. That is how the Ken character is. When it comes to things related to his worker, or Yana said he also see a day, a yan, a dear yan or canasa, but it doesn't mean say, or a bontia, tesa. He's a married person. It would have been no be at our remarks about bonseda. If it is the case, he say, or sorry, no, assembly, no, Claudia assembly, be to no. The only man says, oh, my 23. Aside that, anyway. If it is a character, onto me and katana, and I was sorry, no, I some said, yeah, any penny will be a painty him to be like her. And of course, or no, near some crabbe. I say nipa binum no ma painting esa na say ne ye ne nsem bia wa kentin na ma binum hu ne sa Istabna, unse omaya sebi o ye wodwa ato ahene wo mu de. We must also understand say your culture and also embrace kind of nyatwom kakra. Omaya no man obi aya de eze de ne kone de mrafa kwa so no hedu mo hene tutuntuma. De kona e de embre pamana ne de shana pomienu ato so ye se bo mu ade. Na kono akoka asem na ma na afiri o. Nti yeso ye ndru ba bia ye gi nipo ekokudru fo. Nipo kano kre wo ye ni masem ye de etumusa. We've not gotten there. That is not the culture of Ghanaians. Ghanaians culture is generally conservative and modest. Nti wo bia a party for ya de no enye no ka ho asem a ezo ni kwa asa ko ye de o ka na sa wo bi na e fa na say ohini bi ya de no enye no ka ho asem a ye say ni kwa asa o ka ho asem sa. But winim no kro mu say Ghanaians are more interested in nipo betima bi enwuma ye de amom than ebia nipa ye say oh ya de a o ka na adwen ye de echew. And the last time I sat on another television station, let me catch them say let can be can. When we say let can be can, we are not saying say bibi won when enya hen wanya dey was say. And can is not
because in come baby bisa be yourself. But be so one ones as simply be one ma. Aya na ne ka no esan say ye one mamre ni amani enti no. Aya na eya sefem. Say wo beti se bi enipa na kan. So say let him be, you know, who he is, and then express it, whatever he wants to say. Unyini say no so mueden.
Unim say can the candidate when you are going to sell him, nobody is focusing on what he can do for the state, but people are only focusing on a certain picture they've given him, a certain lifestyle that he is. I'm coming there before you are even usually by the time you even tell them what Ken can do, we say 1 hour interview, 45 minutes defending him. But I mean it's good. That's my job.
Do you see that? So say no idea and ka. Once nipa de owo honoma you do self introspection. Ka say idea we dear me hu yanka nkamanye.
It's because say yes you you define a certain template of who a presidential candidate should be. Okay. And who a presidential material should be. Nti nipa ni bi wo ho a so one is never be so one. But you nipa so who say the rolling style no. Can say a trust wa can be discipline and no my da ba mu. I say galamsi asema yeken. It has more to do with enforcement. Now no na me call station back na me say I don't think we can win the fight. I don't say, the basic enforcement like road safety enforcement, sanitation, procurement laws, engineering enforcement, galamse na betimi. Something which is so lucrative. And the person say, what's what kasemo? But that is just by the way. The point I'm making is that we are not selling a spotless candidate to Ghana. Okay. In case Ken or Bofo for so no, that's not what we are saying. A spotless candidate there, I say Kofa Yesu Christo na Ankasa. No aba the leader of the MPP. But we are saying say Ken or strengths or also shortcomings, just like any other human being. Me tiwe, ma sorry amekono. Ebi amesofo be hu me bi twabi blue kills na me ya de. O so o twabi. But bi me nim de oye dey, oye wo dem. But me de sa ebu na ma na say e ba nyame hu kitahudi ene nyame asem ka on na ye dey, o nim eyo. If you look at the candidates contesting and the other candidates, I don't know where Ghanaians had this whole template of he is humble. What has humility got to do with being a president? We are not saying conform we are humble to being a president too, but we are almost now building a system. All you need to do is pretend that you are humble, and automatically you become where your brain wants you.
So you see it as a pretense.
I mean, the point I'm saying is that if you're also not very careful, you may get weak people who may be then branded as humble. What I say?
Yes, be a so want to say nipa na humble now means that we're very accommodating.
Now also na can say nipa so firm and the person cannot be accommodating. But if I was made to land that, the point I was making is our strengths, our shortcomings. Okay. If we look at some of the other candidates, they also have strengths and they also have shortcomings. One of them whose name I mean Besame de Betujano. Yes, you're humble. I've also seen people criticize him say, "Oh, you're a weak candidate."
Wait, why?
Okay. Oh, Mr. Candidate, maybe. Oh, yeah, I'm not.
Watch this. You know what I mean?
Every case, okay. I thought that Mr. Panic couldn't have been before set us by Nansavum. Yes, you share there. we also take feedback from you. And then I came for January till now, I won't say there has been any adverse. No. And also, the most more kind of say,
and no so no na be na coming per se me boy ba odi e ho no na ba ne dey bi say ene na what say bra wo ho ase na yemfa enje to me sa na wo ya na because they was from January till date and say na no asem no knowing very well who Honorable Kennedy Japan.
There is a pending question. Let me answer the pending question. Let me wait that also.
Because of that, in Tina, I must say, no, what brand was
okay. So, like I said, we are not selling a spotless candidate, but the I can say there are a lot of character tracer, say a heavy character tracer, obetima boy as of mine than anything. Because our rich ideas and yes, we were a dream poor, we see a person versus our mind. One, if you don't win power, rich ideas in academy, a back campus. Until you will be a could do for. Obia, easy in 72 hours will be declared election. Now within 24 hours, was one the Makwaja too. There be no Johnny MPC near Denina. That's not how Ken will do. If here Bemo Yako could do for 2028 to bet him in DC for a CNE. If here will be a Ghana for a Jenny Tombs or cow or yo, or more GD with him, or Castle baby and you more baby, and Pano Makoto Banade, Amano. Now to your substantive question here, Obuzai. You see, Ken has not changed. Ken is still Ken. But you are also dealing with human beings. Obasuminipa. And at some point, there also have to be a balance. So one must say no more pa. Also you have to also meet them halfway. And be a same being in a cano. So there was a kind and caneno. So never catch us away Jimmy. This time, one can say be away Jimmy. Because oh. Day or form. And it has more to do with style, but in terms of the character traits, in
the same original.
Oh, no, he's Ken. He is Ken. And that's what I said. The end. So you see, Ken is loved by two things. One, no credit oka and an akukudru. What I say, in this if Ken is going to change that Ken, so ekofang walabo omobono oh Ken, no, that's not Kenneth. He is still the Ken that we know. Just say the momusi kano. Nipa no obesum. You see, when you're him for Casa, near 2 for a beer, as Messia Nobent, a power, a power star, and a power. Then so, my muhana, a beer, Casanibo, about phone cacra. That is also the hallmark and a trademark of also a listening leader. The next change now by your who say, can, any pan about some now come I be enough when you're to me now.
What so do near to me was I cannot no
not being your but in a different style.
In a different style. Okay, into what modernizing in a way.
Me say what he's taking feedback from Ghanaians. Say Ghana for no so.
Okay, the Ghana for Bekano na would say.
The Ghana for Bekano.
Okay, into campaign no theme be na edaso.
Oh, Ken dey e dey back up no be yama party no in Ghana for. But continue ma. Ken would you say our strong either agriculture and socio-economic transformation and the Oba also the agriculture be creating jobs. Maybe it is the northern part of Ghana. In full and Sasia almost has a bow. And Sasia walk the northern part of Ghana or the be queer at the feed Ghana. No they be feed Burkina. No the ebiso feed one other Togana, one other year or border, yes. But the point is that we are in Miane for exports. No, the Bisway day, FED Ghana. One other thing, agriculture may exploit, for instance, a BBFN ethanol, and cyanide, alcohol, yeah, no me. Also, your Ghana near or company or Ghana, Casabroko, or crab ethanol, alcohol, be $2 billion every year.
Wow.
Bakufu. It will cash $2 billion. $2 billion. So imagine, say, as a country, we identify 10 casaprecos or 20 casaprecos in the African continent alone. Near cassava. Cassava no kwa uye tano ni free mark. Cassava na kwa timi e obe 29 end products. Say what's here year hu adwuma. We dey say tano no kwa near turn to 20 people. Near supply will be at $2 billion, $2 billion or $40 billion. Sika be ni enya enyuma be ni nketi wo man mu so ade ba kwa ken de be adwuma pa eye efuyo kuayo who say during the first industrial evolution, second industrial evolution, third industrial evolution, fourth industrial evolution, Africa near or just at the consumption end. To Ghana, first industrial evolution on we steam engines at the power production. second industrial revolution, electricity, the power production, third industrial revolution, computers, by say artificial intelligence, no money ade. Then we're just at the consumption end. It is all person your mind now catch it up. Ube used to be a friend a leapfrog approach. Ube free. Now we Nemo, you cannot miss the first industrial revolution. I started with production. Then base like production and industrialization. Tadia can't be or body a queer your power. Because I can't queer your own yet. Queer ya fat second mark was you cutting. Send me another quadrum with Odomia, Okoda, but that's a sabro, and your Dahusia. We general ha. Now, me, your can could the business can be a modernized, mechanized farming and casa. One can believe in the Asian miracle model. Say Asian miracle model. Senka, Papa despite in a while. Now, Papa for support. You have about, let's say, 100 of them. No need to recruit 2,000 people each. Now, one more you're interested in farming. Now, if I say farming, you'll be now buying a sell monster. Now, one more musica, no more grants and the other. Then they're able to recruit, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 people. And if you have 100 people that recruits 1,000, then you increase their capacity to recruit, say, 2,000. Automatically, you've created 200,000 jobs with agriculture. Until a year, one more month, it will be corporations, businesses, mechanized form of farming, and obey. Now,
mechanized there, then they require a lot of machines and so.
Yes, certainly. Okay. And now, they ask what does it mean? Say, who's the next case of creative certificate and non-certificate jobs?
And the Ghanaian points, the Abakanadi, Japan promises job for certificate and non-certificate holders.
Yeah, because Abribia and Yakwani and a party for Nekasa, and some of the be catch them say, but the movie near catch them say, Mooney certificate into me.
Until Obi Omobuamakana Muinia, Yenim Seni Pano, one call law school biada, when you're lawyer, Sir, we opportunity and answer we are the anka we lawyer nipa the anka pushi wishewo. Any as I know moka. When him so on your doctor post, slot to be about unka we lawyer near. It's not just a 1 year lawyer ni, 1 year doctor. Ain't no just onya. But now no dear, who get a certificate,
the bigger problem is saying cannot crunch your party for.
Okay.
You're quite near catch almost say. Mobile, Munya Juma, mobile certificate as any day, anyhow. But you see, before we catch on certificate as anyhow, you must be then willing to create non-certificate jobs. Okabucha, cleaning no money at the Obian or the certificate here. To say, fancy farming as a there could be an aspect of farming within the chain, production, and even the supply chain, and require certification. What I say?
Okay.
Yeah, jobs and require certification. So, the person will still be paid a year then sabede ebekonano. But yeah, quite a catch on say, oh, Munya Juma may buy a Musa certificate bia, but let's ask ourselves. The panel, our uncles would never and answer what the lawyer. Like Oboko Kukunko for our hospital. So we must be very honest to our people and tell them, say, we'll create two kinds of jobs. Jobs for certificate holders and jobs for non-certificate holders. And that's what Ken is coming to do.
Okay.
The 1 year, farming and some year, they make kind. But also, yeah, or say, we share maybe to say the religious and faith-based group now. Nipa Mosompa, sorry, and so for assembly, and on their job. The religious institutions, these churches. What churches are? Ugu is here, Ghana, over 100,000 denominations. What I say? Denominations, and we presby, we one man churches need to be close to 100,000, over 100,000 of them. Now, Oba mi mikromu domi asantache domi abra o mi mi free no. Oba hwa ye presby, ye Roman, ye Pentecost, ye Assemblies of God, ye Methodist, ye Anglican, so be brave. Assuming say domi nkwa no. Ye sorry makuma kunkwa 15 and a day. What the plus one man churches no 20 churches. Now can say and also obefa aware sonko nkitahudie sonko between abino any these religious institutions, even mosques on the other account.
Okay.
Now, one also partner to also do businesses.
As in the farming, not
necessarily the farming, but also by your entrepreneur, say perhaps because we have a bit of Pentecost. Almost the church already have the basic logistics, like to say beer and lands, offices. They already have the leadership already. Inside na won show ma say me kuro do me say press before twen so omu twen so eton omu say in a month bi omu anya be 10-15,000 so omu ebu we na
okay
but I won say if the Presby church can recruit 10 people it could even be more because one more be machine ho fa na say be nipa be 9 obenya be 9 on be there e be park your driver almost have pack a book anim.
It is an obey investing in already existing businesses now more.
Every church will own a business. Every faith-based institution will own it, including the mosques. Every faith-based institution will own a business. And that is the collaboration and partnership between the faith-based groups and the government. Because coming when I say faith-based group, more they are say they be more sorry. Assuming say more sorry no. Na sorry be organ be could be all them domi American. You can't churches no. The already established 1 manager 20.
That's so be our campaign.
20 people. Domi alone has recruited 400 people.
Okay.
Into job creation.
So this we nya kwenya na de obeye no.
Yes.
Na ye ka we nyina no. Grassroots for no say no musi esomofa. Resonating well with them one saying. Oh,
grassroots for no. One more e wo gidi o kan mu.
Okay.
Na wo hwe na na buy koto ye na our performance was not good. So, nti omu nyina ni say nya kren de ne be ba e be dia ye de amaye.
Sa no mo kan.
Oh yes. Say last election koto ye no. We 276 constituencies sir. E mu be 199 constituencies ye dinjo. Omo tuti a presidential candidate. Osha there were 7 regions where a presidential candidate when we need one constituency cry. Ye nipa close to 400,000, more than 345,000. Etuma a parliamentary candidates, you know. Etutia a presidential candidate. The imagine say 345,000 plus a bar post etuma parliamentary, etutia presidential. How many more na person to claim presidential and the party na pieces or mameto? There could be many more.
But some analysis here will make it. Obaka say because of the presidential candidates, a majority of the MPs and so Lucy Omusitana.
Oh, I mean that one, and I make say the data does not lie. The analysis may be subjective or different. But if people walk to the polls, they move 345,000 plus a buy. One more to my own saying the history of Ghana since 92. I believe I heard the nominal value, sir. Presidential candidate no votes no, a also Senate, parliamentary no combine. But for the first time in their history, no, parliamentary no mum a vote square day, a could also Senate presidential. Dinko for kwatoma ye parliamentary no movie no to tia presidential. Ndi osha then people will tell you say people even preferred our presidential candidates to our parliamentary candidate to our presidential candidate. But that is not the point. The point I am making is with our performance in the last election, we were about 9 regions or her cumulatively we are looking at 98 parliamentary seats. People 5 and then this one 93. There are 4 regions where he need 1 parliamentary rep. A day in the free sure a better see by your home ama by your market. A day and MPP a year.
Now, when Jane did say for the past 8 years, no, a mamuno so a kahona, a binum, a bufu yo mututiamo.
Every change of government be a memo kahon and a change government, but we've never witnessed this defeat ever in our history, with about 2.1 million people refusing to come and vote. About 1.7 million people voting against 1.7 million vote difference. And he also said that people were not ready for a presidential candidate. But Medika Kusi say, Benfoka say, in so a chair to my day, a presidential candidate, because normally we will on the year. But who say, we are penny na assemble there, where they are, you won't be your home free more. I said $1 yasama again, and this if I want us to fall. Oba ene kuya se covid o senya covid 4 to 17 ka manfo ne nyade enyindi in such a case na wo da no economic management team they will punish you for that.
Okay.
DDEP enya na bia wo ye nhihye no but we there so far as na your vice no untimi nyu hu nyade emfrim
eni ese lawyer say wo hwe sa analysis ne dia na wo de so mo ne bo ne bebe se bia onunti anase bia Ghana for ese wo mpe na eye bufuo mum na ahye wo mum nhune sa.
No, but the bufuo no, how do you separate the candidates from the parties' unfortunate woes? For instance, say make us a NAPCO be 2 years and in okay, over 100,000 people in okay. how do you then say at the papa be your party no na vice president ka ho but the end and no ka ho yes oh Ghana card yes one mobile money interoperability yes one if you na no mo support o do tampering na and where be when gate okay so say gate so on and the other na at the papa there it will be so nice say emfansia no na be ade a chia na santre there people cannot hold them liable for it. We are not saying say aban no eho ahinya dey enka ho aban no ho ahika ho but enye no so kra so nti na ye better say na say aban no ho ahina ye the same aban na buy you and after 4 years obon kai say same aban na. If the logic is say aban no ho ahinti na nkofo e dey ya akoto e dia then it is better to bring obia na memfa na say won hold any key position or e dey aban mu enso nie eboa na ewo we mu mpanifo na ebu be ono mo say enso kra no e cha etuo mo ye dey ehihwa minimum specialization 30 years ko enyi but mpanifo na kai ono say enso kra cha etuo mo ye dey ehihwa ndi after be 16 years nipa no bi anya kwanya asom party no ehunu say why dey obeye bia what the party for ase what the Ghana for ase no obi so aye dey abeto aso so yesi bedi akoni din fata na fata na akono nyankwankwa nwa ase na wokona afei wo election na I mean the worst defeat ever and the book also second chance be wo hwe abako semu a Professor Dubois henya 1.2 million one Rollins mebwa aso kwa ya mfana nkobio na akofo buy Adekye 2.8 million na MPP no ono mo a second chance e mo makonya ko bia ye obi a okwa watime a kire se ye vote enya in na previous election no ono etimi di be ye dey be ka ho Professor Dubois he brekra one kofo one Rollins ko ya sabre 92 no ono transition aba from military era aba constitutional rule asabre momo no mo ho 92 omani afia no mo ye omo se abakora etu ne tubu pig ballot boxes mu ibu e de jude bag be fa se ni amo mo na soja fa be fa enum pokura no Professor Dubois he elusu 1.1 million votes difference and akofo so buy kofo de call 2.8 omo so ya to akofo so ya to akofo so de na entwa ya former vice president so but do kofo demonstrated say obetimi di vote ni bia bede abeka ho but the Professor Dubois he dey free 1.2 million at the call 2.8 so he hwa for the first time also be fa for 2.8 no e call 4.5 kofo kra free office no in 2024 election kofo call no or the 4.5 na if you ho akufo so dey be call 4.5 into hwa akufo quite the first time against Professor Mills we winning by 100,000 votes difference. He won the first round until say a court tire near here be 0.24 hanya day ani nti akufo de baya no de be 6.7 million de ejawo na wo teso ba for
nti net is only be the count na asama ye can say we are speaking in parables meaning say former vice president one Fabian count on deserve second chance to on deserve second chance
so here akufo de be 6.7 million the no or the bar 4.16 and if you are so better 33%.
They may say because of that in it no on deserve second chance na.
Maybe me kind article bi almost one Dr. Kurugube. Also we nyai campaign against Dr. Bawumia say because of Mampusini. And I'm saying oh Hwana Akasa. I mean let's state it for emphasis sake. At the country I may say former vice president here in Toronto say mo infa Ken man and say the performance I was demonstrating in the last election, wanyade. Ohwe MPP abako sema ya track of also because say mpenifo say am for na dey e chene to aso because obon homode. Ya track of so che say or the kofo de na dey e ko so. But ohwe Dr. Bawumia akufo the votes ko de jan nationally what is 33%. Ohwe the southern belt are predominated by Akans. Akans are more aligned to the MPP. Also 31%. If you make us if be an 5 northern regions they be on yard or say what they be who no free nti na ku mfo man dey so enko he also what is 16%. How then do you say nipa ko eligible for second chance?
Bisa no say into what so now on add so means on add value be to the jan no into no deserve second chance.
It's not really about deserving but it has more to do say ka said ne be ko biwa performance onya elo
ena woma you know the history in the party
yes.
All the candidates in na one list say we ye say ye di we jan we di bika it's na me bisa sa no because so the become there then you deserve it say okay yeah ma won san to aso
on deserve say say ka said ni ko biwa oh you be take be 16 years and san what me win yes because President Mahama the 8 years na tete akufo 1 million votes difference
but what time I want President Mahama analysis no ka say mo krampo de be boa honorable Ken na mo promote say delegate and to manage say NDC be new candidates and President Mahama and sign maybe meaning say because in the nim you know akokwa Ghana for
very smart parents and come here the uti
omo nanim akokwa wo mo nti ne di nti na mo wo bi so ono so di kan ko bi an so nanim akokwa wo mo repeat.
Oh, it's a very valid question and a valid point to make. We can say, oh, I don't know, be a could be the enfant in the enco. But the chairs on say, oh, here data na. Who's any part no go data man power, only the open data once a man. Ghana on the minimum data man. Unfortunately, the data doesn't point so. Say, what the neck could be data na a war on the chair say. The next be take be 16 years and so on. Irrespective of who he's meeting. President Mahama, the last elections and on Akufo-Addo 2016. Akufo-Addo share with 1 million votes difference. 1 million votes difference. They take in 8 years and so on. Ultimate Tiaba. It is a head of Tabaumia D. 1.7 million votes difference. If 1 million is equal to 8, 1.7 will be equal to X and I can then find X. If you find X should be giving around 13.6. 13.6 over run 14 years. From the lesson cycle, 14 and a basic bear after bear 12 years plus 2 years. It is only 2 years the bear can 16. In the roughly we are looking at the next 16 years.
Until more X no year equal to 16 years.
Yes. The 16 years no. Because we run it. Oh, because 14 years in trouble. The 16 years no. 14 we are in trouble. The 16 years no. When the 16 years is all your party now 15 hours. Now when you are 66, we will say we pension. Anything that you hear will be a Ghana for GDP almost more than a buy a bed. Okay. It really about the alcohol be paid because it is not cordial, but a chair said he was not marketable. Who said, hey. Oh yes. Who said there is a difference between visibility and marketability. It could be visible in Sui, but visibility not necessarily marketability. When visibility say wouldn't so be seen presence is here. But marketability just say you can't want any part at all because your GD was specialized. And the specialized is both marketable and visible. But you could get in so only visible but not marketable. Marketable is a visible.
But on your day.
No, I will say what Kennedy is. Kennedy is both marketable and visible. But not about me visible.
But on your marketable.
I say Kennedy are both marketable and visible.
Okay, my share more a past campaign and now 2024. Any Sabri say me fancy 2023 campaign at that time na mo pay a honorable Ken no pese or ye flag bearer na any the way a campaign is equal difference e wo mu ana o manfo oboje mo so more accept say or honorable Ken no mo pe chain afie ana past in a campaign ana.
I think so with just the introduction of Dr. Bright Chambo, the dynamics has changed a bit.
Oh, okay.
No, also making rules well.
I see.
And me and my former boss, Dr. Duchum, so it looks like Dr. Bright Chambo is rather pulling higher.
Okay.
And also chief free Dr. Baumia voice in pa.
And you're not booking the
Oh, Eddie about chief but you think be a about there were not Dr. Baumia there.
I didn't, yeah.
Oh, send all Dr. Baumia camp.
Okay.
Hold on, no, Dr. Duchum, you also no more the camp. And if she did, they are also contested. And then the number for no more for Mama. So it's also changed the dynamics a bit. But the duty and they say any party for anybody they will kasa. Any form for anybody will kasa. A book kwansa hombra se kwanso kasa de kwanso. Ni achi omo se Nyankopon pa na ken ba enim se be enim se on benya adwuma ye de aye. And most importantly, ideas I can enim se can be to me. na se Dr. Baumia se Dr. Brian Champon Dr. Duchumu engineers or ideas but na me hwe the TV so my ideas I can say I'm say we need ideas in them mo he will be with
lawyer onkomo ye de pa o kan ideas kese na so we need ideas
we need ideas them mo nti he will be with you what is
now we need ideas mem say near my family agriculture near
the engineer there who say o be engineering ayo who say some kese hey and some there o hunim there
and they doable ana
but the point is if we don't win all these ideas will not be feasible. Ebeka them. Ebeka say it will become obsolete and dust a big so. I feel that the question pass. So you need the power first.
Okay.
Before you see, second there, if it is about one more define presidential candidates, no person would define in my end there. And the Ken would have probably been the last. Because Ghana a presidential candidate, yes, you will be all but tie. Yes, you will be our shadow and also a humble. They are oh.
So that's will be all shadow, will be all humble, and that's will be all shadow.
Said the Mohun or public. Said the Mohun or public na humble. None of the fearsome.
Into no, the more can say or humble, who in the fearsome won't.
What am I offensive? Why here be very much? Maybe I don't know.
To us, some common ayebo. Of course, we a politician.
No, but I'm saying,
maybe you're a politician and who are party no say probably unim the minim.
Oh, not per se, but I'm saying say yeah, my mo people also construe. My more example. Say even John Mahama is also seen as humble, right?
President
Mahama. Oh, I mean President Mahama. The interim card John Mahama. No more my Bob Brown we as a permanent title. Mama one example Jesus Christ. Muhammad, Trump,
but for
Obama.
The purpose of education,
yes, he's a president. But mom, not out of disrespect, but out of what Bob Brother drew. We are here. What Moses or by only Dr. Moses. Me they be go for the title come when I'm see they be trained. Yes, I have more bra. Kofoka kwame despite. Even though if she and be a daughter despite. But maybe a word drew no. E didn't go ahead e kasama no. So for instance, when compare President Mahama's humility and our candidates Dr. Baumie's humility. Yeah, you are there. President Mahama in 2020 on the President Akufo-Addo coalition na Olusu with about 500,000 votes difference. Olusu you know so Olusu e press conference I said do get them some more comfortable lead. Ojina na so ma electoral commission we ni kura or the assembly here dey e court so no any we Olusu e ma court unanimously omo tutia no. But at the end of the day, when the free Mubama no, otimi every the parliamentary seats na ni lead no, any ebeche 137. And the can't quite catch 148 seats. But otimi ni 137, you know, and the ma on muja egu yechema ye levy ade e pass bia no ma ye hu deda say you say dey no ma dan no. Emfa no to. Afi yeso ye ma Dr. Baumia so time. Ye to aba no. Is assume the same 72-hour window. Make sure the humility aspect that you are talking about. Say one here, even though Nkofobeka so him humble no, na humble per se, but na be a mreyo.
Okay. The weakness.
Yes. But me another example. The same election as you could be. In a space of 72 hours easy at the Mayan. Yes, a candidate, you know, less than 24 hours on also quite you two lose election. I feel MPC no more for mobile coalition centers. Now NDC for Nyaku draw, no more call, no more sheho, no more yeday. I feel a seat, you know, a tebaya, a ba from 137 to I'm not going to say 87.
And they said it was a concede. Too early ntina ni nyina ka ho ne ma Lucy seat ne bi no na na seat no
I think one conceding temwa
enka mo benya more
ka we won't find ourselves in the state that we were maybe it is a blockman ya e kire mo chenchi mensa say it was even declared then but the chiri almost a year ma ye ho che Charles Force or Tema Central omoje it took him ekopel no private security ene omo face but busa ho say any pahin no more private security or more that capacity any NDC for the face or ma omotimi eba
so because say the way an attention no is it in a way no or jitu muntem no so no e kame enkofo be oh Ghana for do na kai say
tension be 2024 kwani that to about Ghana
we say oh a ban in terms sana Emma will be able to yem.
No, but I'm asking say no, but contrary to what people may say, no, the evidence doesn't support that. The evidence is that with that concession, no can embolden the NDC for and one coalition center say kwaya basabasa. Nti basabasa ya sama indipa kano. Where is it? That logic is not tenable.
Say no nyina out of humility or humble.
But so because oh humble. But Ken na mo so wanya humble, he will never do that. Say he's a 72 hours no akwaja to enjejuma. No. In 2028. Enjejuma. Ya to aba na ye kan na Ken akwaja to enjejuma.
Ko debi say e ba ne sa no so amoso mo wo more coalition centers a bibini amoso mo gi feed ni so wo
say Ken lose mpa onyo no kwa no ho. Ken lose obedwen parliamentary candidates no so as okwaji tumu ntema wan hwe na ndisi for akwo
But Ghana for nyina so no edoso chen parliamentary candidates.
No, but at the end of the day, Ghana for nyina does say within that time of the process, everybody also want that representation to also govern the same country.
No, the American said be basabasa yinsi.
Oh, but Messi at about 1592.
From that
Messi at about 1592 have seen and abena basabasa is here. And if it is a logic is basabasa no ye a bra such a concession could even embolden other people to go and act differently. And that's why we witness. And to go focus about basabasaya mentasi. Sometimes no book or be a book election in you don't per se or independent so in papa or humble. But I'm saying say any NDC for call. Now you see make election results in there's no way second Beko no, he won't do that. Uncle my MPs won't no, he won't do that. Basabasa bien. You see, there is a difference between protecting your rights under the constitution and basabasayo. The constitution enjoins us to protect your votes. The constitution, the 1992 constitution, and joining a share can say and protect the sanctity and integrity of our electoral process.
At that time, the candidates in one Jenny ne MPs and so on.
Mame can say, make us a candy on yes, sir.
Oh, now then, they say, will be said, there will be a Sebi chat one. Will be trahon dia
oh, so only
and on yana santi dia na ono ye
oh, so make us say or no there sebio it be a briefing on yaye and na adwin or dream and the man make his decision.
So na wrong na.
I don't want to judge him. I don't have it's beyond my pay skill to judge him. But I will tell you what Ken will not do. Ken will not do that.
Okay. You share in a post I am minimum so
me who be brave.
E bom ho ana.
Oh, say be brave na favor. Nti ade favor dey
na say dey in favor mo no so e.
Oh, they you see whether say
this one ba in favor mo.
Oh, what?
And nti na me be.
Dey in favor ye kra no. Me if favor ye in a larger extent to mari kundia. Dey in favor ye kra no. Musa dan kwa dey in favor ye. Our ma 17% throughout so. They also tell say why not twice. Every month bia no. Or take your main opponent there so 5%. And if that trajectory is to go on, aka 4 months. Or to so 5 20%. Or 27. And I will be 27. So about winning kunim. Until I'm safe if I am.
Okay. Recently, honorable Ken Kasaya na efa indiscipline ekoso ewo party. Do you think say leaders na omo da party na no omo nye firm enough betimi ashama discipline akoso ana?
I don't think so. I want to blame them per se.
Okay.
First of all, party members nankasa or responsibility themselves to also be disciplined towards the party. Obi say chama abronye unhia secretary Justin Kodua na beche say dey answer na say we nye. Na no asema chama untumi ne chama abronye ko kan. They are adults. They are very responsible adults. They should have known better even in the first place. But maybe a party in the no I say be sepande ku na dey ahabai. No many people how we no one about and then so for before Friday aba. And see sometimes I understand the leadership they are in a very tight position now. What I say? Party may be a general. I say in terms of a flag bearership no, we say it's a vacuum. And it's more or less like a leadership crisis. And almost so yesterday be a afembia no omunko heti obia whether Ken camp or DMB's camp or Brian camp or any other camp. I think say no na nipa members be so I take advantage of no be emfatania
because come baba kase binum so be kase mo ni omo a ebinum mo support honorable Ken so omo nsem bi so omo kegu other candidates ni bi so omo enye you know.
Oh, me, Adekye be obi aya enye bia. Adekye be obi aya. I mean, the good thing is I'm the official spokesperson. I'm not in record say makasem bia. Me dey me can say team na yede aka or the campaign team aka. Me ntusu say nipa de say be mpanifo si de otwa so nim se na chia yede achia. Bibi o ho na nya na etwuma adwin so a ebo kwa so ho bra se kwa so be pa ho yede acha. But mostly the things I say are statements of facts. Unfortunately, some of them may not be. They obi ade or catch obi when any my be ene de. But me just say my cousin be there bro so. But amongst the team aside me, obi won o kade enya. We condemn it outrightly. Ye metana hanga say your team ken, you know. Adibi wa how kase tia daughter ba me and any of his team members. We should praise you. Okay. Because see we nyina be kabom. Okay. Ansa na nyina yakoye.
Oji to mo say for instance, I am piato na mo go ateche mu anase bia moto to ateche ebro mo especially me can you know mo chidi for no for instance and no betimi aye a tool for NDC to campaign against NPP ana. I am piato if it is my understanding in English as jabs. I mean, positive jabs is good. And what of negative? If
it is jabs, it is a bit busy. You man a second chance because a mark of 4 second chance, and somebody is jabbing you. Say those or a more second chance to perform. If you didn't perform, you are a weak candidate. I don't think say
no. So now, for instance, okay, my mema this.
But you negative ones.
My mema this scenario maybe you over say they say they can you know way marketable. This can be visible, but it can be marketable.
It's a good job.
Okay, for instance, now, beer, me example, when you're marketable, after elections, na enya now, or face the whole, you know, about 35 and over million, you know, people, no. Then opponent can say, na so monocombo jitu mo say we say when you're marketable, timamon to manipa. One year marketable there, and you remember I am someone who sends bit me. I'm
against negative jazz, but we see I'm not. I can't try any pan April. April there, yeah, bakutia any petty or one also kakra. The main penny say obi tia a who be crew. Not in a biscan bed a bed out. But I can't be a press be a semi day anyhow. But you really hina, and the engineer smoke yabako. Those things there to a certain extent, and I mean, who say any class say the extra. I know if jobs are, I mean, just based on facts, just based on data there. And I mean, who for so be there. But when the jobs cross into insults,
if it's based
on miracles for Kennedy Japan lose canon, no one will say, oh, I know this is not a job, this is a pure personal attack. I know you wouldn't want to promote it. But Meka say, Dr. Bamia a weak candidate. Well, I mean, how is it an insult?
And that's no one said that a weak candidate and so no. More opponents will keep hammering on that because I will share last year elections because I'm in the media yet that time opposition party was using a lot of utterances within the party you see and against more candidates.
Mama Gasa we no media and go for na come what be.
Assembly.
Omo say
what's the governor come na me adwuma me yenye omo beka committee me a mouthpiece man Ghana for
Mama Gasa be I must say let me even make it more clear for you so that I can respond. I must say last election Kenya Japan no masem and NDC for here there boy and I may lose election uti dollar na move 4 to 17 and Kenya Japan no masem napko for ani ntwi omoka be 2 years Kenya Japan no masem DDEP kofo chief justice mo edu omo nsa gu omuti ebisu ye na de Kenya Japan no masem party for na ka so mo padwuma ye mo adwuma na Kenya Japan no masem MPs are no mo kwa ni imposition MPs as presidency we candidate when Kenya Japan no masem. We are not saying Kenya Japan Kenya Japan no masem o kan ya say no catch a party for say mo nyere mo hwe party for no Kenya Japan na penny bi to me for MPB. I don't have his permission to put his name out there. Michiano, I don't know. No, let me do say you are doing well, but first of all, think yourself first. Think of yourself first. Let me say, wow. No, say, boss now within it, 99% of the normal move use against him. Normal no use in defense of the party. Normal no in defense of the party, but then they use against him. And so Kennedy, I know myself and me lose election. the factors that may lose election. Let's go to the core report. Where does second Japan do must may lose election?
No, core report no na.
I've not seen it myself. They said people don't have copy. Dr. Bamiana who say matter says sometimes he references it, but even though they say no human being has a copy. But the point is,
no human being that don't is Obia you so any pan
when I say no human being has a copy, officially they've not presented a copy to anybody, so you are not supposed to. You are not expected to reference it.
So yeah, more copy then we need.
Since report.
Don't make reference to
I don't make reference to it because I've not seen it. I don't make references because I've not seen it. They say it's a secret document. But the point is, I don't think such a report will cover say Kenya upon must have made the illusion lesson. On one side, must say, any Dr. Bawumia are buying another one day. On the other side, any buying woman another one. No, you see the factors are no man there have buying, no man there have buying. If your dollar, if for instance you present economic messiah, also arrested dollar and the keys are my GP, right? And which was true then, but COVID happens. No more we it wasn't him.
COVID any impact and I say
it had an impact. It had an impact. No, it's not because we have an internal election our city and pretend say. But I'm saying say even though we have an impact, rationally Ghanaians be say NDP candidate no advice no. He was in the helms of affairs, or he was part of those in the helms of affairs. So they are likely to punish him. What I say. So you cannot tell me say all these economic misfortunes. Maybe I mean behind there sometimes there are excesses, a bit of mismanagement, also a bit of say I'm party for ye. You cannot say all this one DDP I didn't know. Ghanaians is no. Ghanaians move beyond all this thing. No mukuti Kennedy Japan kwa numasem. Nenu masem mayate. And then masem sama pano budget to me.
Na yeah, we said we na wudi kan yakasa wakase we ejuma kakra na we PR ma education sector no meboa. Na day now wo boss ejina say wo pese otu franka no nipa wo ne na ye ejuma because onu obi ejuma de den na wo nipa no say they will sit here na nso so won support na support a different candidate.
Question my answer but I'm going to answer it from these two places. So before now you also work somewhere and you moved on. I mean it happens in life. Okay. And the second aspect is say my boss on Angasan who I so much respect also know Dr. Bawumia. Is he also contesting Dr. Bawumia this time around?
No, Dr. Bawumia.
Yes. He not supervising. He even lobbied up to the point in Oka. Okay. Those who were tipped to be vice. But since he's unsupported about Dr. Bawumia, also contested Dr. Bawumia. So also that means hey, before say because say maybe Dr. Bawumia chino. I can be also within a chair and when nature this lawyer now. I think he's a great person. No two ways about that. He can equally be the presidential candidate and the flag bearer for us. But my interest was more in what Ghanaians are seeking for, who Ghanaians are seeking for. When the majority of Ghanaians can say almost some of them can buy a better. So it will rather be more selfish and disloyal to even the entire party and the entire Ghanaians if I decide not to support Ken. Why? Because they can buy a party for a better, Ghana for a better. So we felt that it was proper for us to bring Ken. And I'm going to Kennedy. It has nothing to do with when Dr. Duchumi Ejuma can be a also. One can never be an hour so new. In terms of the disloyal person. We'll move on. Say first we free different television stations. I want another show. And then never in terms of the disloyal person.
We the was some maybe some bizarre question. And then here one son. And when I say we man, family media no.
No, but I'm saying that we are also drawing an analogy. Okay. That there are a lot of factors why people move on. Moving on doesn't mean you don't believe in the vision of that person. It only means that even if the vision is the same vision, there are certain platforms that have vision,
And mean yield the results.
No, I would rather look at certain platforms that have vision be more results than maybe other platforms. What I say.
Honorable Ken
Honorable
Ken no be yield
the results. Journalist be we have a fair as one can now but platform you buy you be no go for who say
lawyer me say Honorable Ken the more results
for the party not
for the party a change say Dr. Duchum
No, Honorable Ken is in a place to win 2028 elections than any of the candidates contesting. Okay. So if it is about 2028, remember I said my premise, and the premise is that ordinarily 2028 is not for the MPP.
Okay.
What I say? After 4 years, yes, you say wait my coach we
was it 2028 is not for MPP?
Ordinarily, you wouldn't expect say from the history of the 8-year cycle.
Okay.
Can I say yeah? Into we to say you call raw or more kawaii after my betty. It's a constitutional coup near It's a constitutional coup.
Okay.
2028 is a constitutional coup. A coup that is legitimate in the constitution.
Ordinarily, in say
ordinarily in the case, but it's a constitutional coup. What I say, and the change on one side aje. And you could teach him say so the warrior could do for obi e de ne kwakọ. Enyam ka say bi di ka say be di akọ di fatana. E fatana ko no nyam kwankwa nwiase. E frema ma say aboaje.
Can a warrior no.
Don ne be di akọ no.
Okay. So obi
so the dey kwa ya akompreko.
Obi show obi bisa o say a dear party because sometimes so obi kwakwa ko di obi e just say enema o keke nyina no. There's a particular trait beer what ma e wodi pa no waka say say ni pay there or a very good leader in TSC a project. What are some of the traits that we on? I notice
all the Ghana patriotism. I notice all the Ghana or Ghana someone he's so passionate and the bishop so kind of temperamental. Many was on the made in commerce amoy but Ghana sana be sell Ghana ho said we see come so yawde wonimu or the Ghana Ghana some must be penny enjuma Ghana hey Ghana oh God yes papa do Ghana this will never happen
enya na no keke
oh say I mean his past records are there and you can see he has been consistent with anything about him Viditama onyini ebisi you see he's been very consistent with everything that until I'm not sure saying I'm not keke or the Ghana the patriotism and he's also honest and disciplined.
Into a patriotic or
honest and disciplined. Yeah.
And discipline.
Yeah. And these are the trademarks that I believe say beyond. Say me can say we are not selling a spotless candidate. And then the power and say now so nyade enim. You can say Ken o she fufu a efi bia nyade enim. Dem yes and eka. But what they no compare with bia say fufu no na she obi a na fi ba ko mienu eboboma. Mu say Ken de no enshow saa na tade ehye no se ne eba abuma no so a one obetima je tumi ama ye na two obetimi asesa Ghana pa ama no
onu ni fi na ewo mu no enshow
send the people no spotless which of the candidates can you say or
but so was obi on met visible to say the wo kind of sports na ewo mu no visible na me no me person me te the wo che na say
you see those things you see about Kenya I will say e bia enya no look at somebody being now no me back here say can I government contracts? No, I'm saying what they find some project government contracts. Obi about politics since 92 BC. So I just government contract. Ne onya one problem say or procurement issue, and I acquire corrupt, and I acquire such a person is what we need.
Ebi mo so ka say government contracts na wo je no. Aboana manenye sika na odin sika na so etwaya. Mamenka some show. I'm one person I believe in local content aspiration. Okay. Se me na me president na enye dwuma me hu ne say broni betima yebia. I don't believe in. Now no Ibrahim Muhammad almost akwaje say one of the minds was say voter I've forgotten the fact. But this is my philosophy. My philosophy is give businesses to local businessmen. Build more local businessmen. End of story. So that's why it's a bit my yafmano. Dr. Forisa upon a bit my yafmano. Kenya upon a bit my yafmano. You know what Ghanaians are? They are more comfortable in an expert doing those contracts. No, most says, "Oh, the Bema a Ghana in India." And so we are not the sickness or person the fortnight.
Can be the biggest coal store in Africa. No, no politics. What are people talking about?
Okay.
Be the biggest coal store in Africa. No, Mayor MP. What are people talking about?
There's almost said the name.
And America, just one example. Anything I mean, person call message or be
no,
be the biggest coast. Go your boss.
Okay.
Go into your boss. Be the biggest coast in West in Africa. No, or nay, no politics. What I say? That's why you interrogating Nipano and life so the ekakra. na na ono kwa na politician aba wi ase say ye obia na nya government contract ye say e the boy party for na say you I am saying say he was a self-made person before entering politics.
Before entering politics. Na say the way say can say or ye patriotic or ye honest or ye discipline. Ne flaws no e dia na wo susu say osesa efri ho e betimi aboa magana for enyusu no as a tool against him.
Well, I would say he's passionate about seeing results, and unfortunately, with such level of passion, Nkofo construe that to be say or a temperamental.
Okay, so we are botre.
Because Ken, muni na mo kasa mo din so ebisi ha. No bana da ha. How he will react no. One here because why react there abroso. But on tia say so na esem disi ho. Or no odi at all. He's a perfectionist.
Okay.
What I say? I wouldn't call it weakness or shortcomings. I would say it's also his strength. But how it comes out, no, and then go for whom so near Ken or a temperamental Ken de ebia unyabotre. No, it has nothing to do with unyabotre. It has more to do say he believes in getting results. He's so passionate about getting results.
After 31st January 2026, after the elections, percentage be and ususu say on Ken obenya. I'm
looking at 62-64.
62-64.
Yes, say if it is a one touch election, then I'm looking at 62-64.
Hey, ebi omo.
Oh,
nipa 5 and then call.
Oh, na say 5 and they say binyabi.
Ebi ye dey.
Ebi nyabi.
Inti hifo na nyabi na.
I'll make a mom binyabi.
Me say hifo na nyabi.
Me no mom binyabi no.
Inti. And okay, hifo na binyabi no.
Second benya 62-64. That was benya akra. Dr. Brian, ono minwa no nti me bra pending nti me kan man ka bi man anya fe go making rules pa
enya se nka wo ka bi anya fe dia nka nka bi man
ono so benya bi
nti ono no baba beda ono bo kenechi ana
kasana nka me pe no we unma de kwenta kasana me pe no me Besika Brian this second just say I strongly believe say we need a fresh face.
Okay. Any money medical.
Oh, there, what to be that? Because one on the seven kumbecha number few. One on the seven kumbecha number few.
Okay.
Obiano on the seven kumbecha. Who's a Ken also has a general national appeal.
Okay.
So be any no. What I say? I think
compared to the other 4 candidates, compared to Dr. Bawumia.
Dr. Bawumia is visible.
Okay.
Ken is both visible and marketable.
And then maybe say Dr. Bawumia don't marketable also one
marketability acceptance. GD and kofo enya o product
ni so ni mo GD.
Abaye to yen dey sa na mo kire.
Okay.
2024 no dey sa na mo kire.
Send there any general elections but within the party no party no so ni mo GD ana.
And the 2026 no mo kire. Se banchenya eja na be kire nya sekai.
They don't bana bebu. Say good because mu here fresh face. Okay, nti no na nti Dr. Brian be di chill.
O di second e boy.
Na when the third.
Dr. Bawumia. Say the way senior the way they are going to be giving.
Nti he for na nya bi no. Omo be nya bi no.
I say Dr. me am boss so esa me na ni yo. Unya aka.
And engineer.
Oh, said unya 10 votes so unya engineers be na aka.
What's e bi nya bi? E bi so bi nya bi. And maybe say he for na nya bi.
E bi ade kwakwa de embo mo say o senior penny dey ntimi nka say on man sfie kra. E is anya fe.
Na why wo kama manfo wo vote ye ba akopɛ. Enti ayi de na wo say we de be ko ha say we so de be ko ha.
Oh, say ne form for ne kasa.
Okay.
Enti wo ne form for ne kasa.
Enti wo ne wo mo so mo beto ama Dr. Bawumia, Dr. Brian, engineer, and Dr. Educhu Momunina, Mono so Kasana.
Say we have about 200,000 delegates and over. We are looking at level. It's almost the new ones we have a country for 208, 210,000.
Okay.
200,000 and over. You know, Mokasa, Uhu be
okay. Uhu say already existing businesses are honorable can create enough. Emma Mobit me a jinaso. I must say. Nyame ye madom na mutimi tu franka na Ghana for enso beto sa enema na mo begina so aye campaign na
say the whole point is say he has that track record. And to work why be pay what I say man nya den Okay. Penifo mo ye nso yi. Me sure say what chana omo ka to so bit my bottle kese a. Likely for people to believe them. Than obi a onye nso ho kwa ye de ehwe. Because o hu nim de. Wasua de ye de ewom. Na ken no ade a wo ye pa onim yo enyuma bi. Okay. E de bo nipa. And he says any part about no catch say the World Bank say about 1.2 billion job seekers by 10 years time. Imube 800 million of those jobs will not exist. Oba ebi bremu hakura dia Ghana catch say unemployment rate of 14%. But Ghana Statistical Service na catch say one more judgment 80% less than 3,000 cities. Na 3,000 be that hand etria light bill, etria oba water bill, etria oba so bills. Yeah, 20% so Ghana Statistical Service said they are living in abject poverty. To hear that data it's not really about just creating jobs. You also need somebody about reorienting your mind. No, create more entrepreneurs and job creators. For instance, you Zoom line, your papa despite your papa for support. You have those of them alike. Your papa Casaprekwa. Why don't you somewhere 100 and will be our 100 workers and 1,000 workers? Will be 100 will be our 1,000 workers. That is a million workers. Why don't you then create about 1,000 of them and increase their capacity to then employ more?
Okay. There may be sense of a non quite enough based on a day no enough. Say enough doesn't mean say a bind that I chair moon want to be capitalized on or no so near my way.
Oh, say it's a boy air boy. So we a ball air ball. We a reserve player, even though a team no. But how do you come to the park to score goals? When will be Ujana? Coach, I catch them saying, Fabo, no be a young for man and send your pay. Minimum so her ball, maybe a Madrid. You new coach by Zabi Alonso. Was it Mbappe on a number of Musa? Keep on your bar on Famano. Vinicius Junior Yabo on Famano. Obi a Yabo on Famano. One day, Nejumo and say, Onya Bona, or call the name back on try and for putting. Or boss Samuel, Eddie, whom you know, I had a essay. Compared to player or no theatre. So now no Abelian free you call ye SG by you cannot compare the two. And the who park and also your input is different. The last government so can serve government in what capacity? If it becomes a board chair temporarily for some 2-3 years, how then do you compare yourself to say the vice president or the president? So and it's wouldn't
him so vice president and so role non shedda and yet giddy to president.
Is the vice president now a mere person?
I'm not saying so.
He's the second gentleman in the country.
Second gentleman, but the role I will play no per the constitution or enter a president. I
totally agree with you 100%. Is that also not the more reason why Ken should be the president, so that he should be able to implement all his ideas? Because at the end of the day, in you could have also done it well as any mainstream appointment or the past government. In your president to be to me, I am a case.
And just to say, by nature, mono say Honorable Ken, a play active roles, and as be even in the role play and yet so active. No, yet me for some money be mono say no can abide one.
Oh no, it will be unfair to do that. Ultimately, we all take responsibility. Say abide na chair must be a year, Kobaji and Munyam Nibi. So, you see a chain Munyam near my wife, Guases bar on for home. Your chain Munyam near my wife, and Guases bar home. And you crash when you do about community or buying or your boche or Ghana gas. Until Munyam shares so ye a buy Ghana gas, and you crawl the party form you knew and 9 numbi a day echo, and Munyam share a day sebi you. Not by what power, and not by any power. Now, who are they what buying and your pet? What about power? Who are they? There was it's a chain Munyam near my be and Guaseba the Okahon. So ultimately, Ibi Chichima or Kahumbi will take responsibility. You hear that I quote thank you to honor. The first as some kind and say, would you not party in a name at the actual pie, they have a party for dinner. Be a teacher or be uncle Ibiano or Kahumbi. It takes our responsibility.
But Church, when there's someone else, or person will be Mumuswa, someone can say.
No, mean Church, they make any answer in terms of your electoral performance. There.
Okay.
Ghana found to Amadota Bagamia because on more in Sajid as the next president. They only say, Adekye Nsroma in terms of the votes and the data available.
Okay. Lawyer me jam work on any more campaign no money chehefa.
Savannah region.
Okay.
Ken mo start work Savannah ne.
Almost and then almost I
say. Start. Uzo ye Bono East, Ahafo, Western North. Until now start to Savannah. The Savannah on say hese bibia be ko ye. Obey the 5 northern regions. Na afi wasa TSC the southern belt.
Okay, so far baby wakoni nyina de bibia is successful.
Yes, but say what your strengths, your strongholds in the baby.
Strongholds in the bine.
Most of the Akan regions they will hope to win.
Oh, okay.
To say be Ashanti region. You say Ken I mean he's partly central, partly Kumasi.
Okay.
Who's a symphony for also Asante fo. And then the year so Mark is so free. Mampon here.
Okay.
And we believe say
Asante Mampon I say
Asante Mampon.
Oh, okay.
Now say so a campaign or and you want to say one be koyi. I have we are doing well. Bono we are doing so well. I'm not so sure about Bono East.
Okay.
Say Bono East is so yeah. Most so what I can tampoint that most of the northerners also mobile piano I don't know.
Sure.
So the Tabamia is also likely to do well there. Volta will do well. Central will do well. Western North will do well. Western will do a Greater Accra there and the home match. Eastern society befa.
Okay.
And me say and now we can make 62-64%.
Was it 62
to 64%?
To 64%. And Nyame adoma 31st January 2026
Prophet
kwesi kwate so you meda se pa lawyer say and when ya bread ya ma ya me edi nkomo na me say emene ko ne ye beta ehia so aba mo ambe ya na messages na bia ba bi ma offense pa o Randolph Amankwa was an intelligent young man kwesi kwate sa here open sika na so wo di sika ni echi onobo kende onompo aka so wo sika
uneska phone na mo
so and Bernard someone say we need Ken in Ghana right now. Okay so and Kennedy Youngson or say what did Kennedy said which is a taboo into no dia or canon so na bosomche and so the truth is one let Ken be okay. One let Ken be. What's it? She said the Wusika and as a Ken will always be Ken. No, I will cheat you. No. It's a bushel for many lawyer and come bonnie de ACSA. Kwasi Kwatsing Esquire on a campaign spokesperson to Honorable Ken or Henny a Japan so a law lecturer and na yen na bon common. Ye DCS ye die who by bar. We never just be seen Queen Ghana and home and come baby ever see.